Greetings, blessings, and welcome to another empowering episode of the Graceful Transitions broadcast. My name is Debrada Denise, and I am your host, and I'm excited to be here with you for another empowering episode. And we are continuing today. We're continuing the mini series titled Life After Loss. And this particular episode, if I hope you were able to catch the prior episode about life after the loss of a child. Today we are talking about life after the loss of the love of your life. And I'm excited because my special guest today is Ms. Whitney Hogans. Hello, Whitney. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. Welcome to the broadcast. Um, Happy to have you here. I'm going to start things off with your bio. Whitney J. Hogans, she is a woman chasing after the heart of God. She is a mother, she's a singer, she's a songwriter, she's an Amazon best-selling author, motivational speaker, educator, radio personality, and so much more. She's also professionally, she's been an educator since 2011. Um, and you can read the details of her bio on her website. But from what I recall, you recently became an assistant principal. Is that correct?
Yes, an assistant principal and an adjunct professor. Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you so
Congratulations to
much.
you. That is awesome. Whitney, ministry wise, she has served as an author, speaker, singer, worship leader, and radio personality. She released her first book, The Pain is Real, but the Promise is Eternal: What to Do When God's Will Hurts. She released that in 2016, and she also founded her publishing service company, She Heals Publishing, in 2019. She's used her love for storytelling and her gift for coaching to assist prospective authors in realizing their dreams of becoming published authors. Whitney revisited a childhood passion and began singing again in 2021. She released her first single, Break Me, along with the music video in 2022. Whitney J. not only reignited a passion for singing, but she also ignited a passion for songwriting as well. That's awesome. I love a
Thank you.
multi-talented sister.
Thank
And
you.
and lastly, but not least, Whitney J's purpose is to share the goodness of Christ in an honest, raw, and authentic way and empower others to live in their truth. Whitney has done presentations in the field of special education as well as ministry based public speaking. Whitney J is passionate about using the voice God gave her in song, in speech, in print to share the message God gave her at all costs. Amen. What a bio. It's amazing, all of the ladies that I've interviewed or conversated with thus far. They just have a bio and they freely share all the gifts that God has endowed them with. And that's what it's about, sharing every part of us, like you said, in an authentic way, so He can get the glory out of it. Not
Amen.
mass. Amen. So I've already welcomed you to broadcast, so we may as well get into the meat of the conversation.
Yeah.
I also like to start off with the question: is there anything about Whitney J that I didn't read in your bio, but it comes to mind to share?
That's a great question. I think the biggest thing is that when I've encountered people and they hear part of my story or some of the things I've been blessed and honored to be able to do, they tend to have a view of me as someone that is so strong and sometimes even not human like. And Whitney is a woman who is fully human. Every experience, every pain, every trial, every victory, I have experienced it all. And I don't sugarcoat anything. I don't feel the need to present myself as this whole totally whole image that has no emotion, no feeling, nor do I need to do present as a broken person either. I am a beautiful work of art, handcrafted by God. And all the pieces, the good ones, the bad ones, the ones I don't want anyone to see, the ones I want everyone to see, they all make me.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I love that. Yeah, because I brought up the word authenticity. It's so important to just show up as our full authentic selves.
Yes.
Um, yeah, that's the bottom line. It's just so important. It's the most impactful thing that we can do. And it's what's going to reach the ears and the heart of the individuals that we're personally called to serve or to pour into.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and I've learned that over the years. I was the queen of hiding, you know what I mean? I was the
Yeah.
queen of, it's none of your business. And to a certain point, I'm still that person
Yeah. And there's
because,
space for that. There's
exactly.
absolute space for that.
You got to know, you had to be led, you have to discern, but always remain open because one of the things is that you can become closed off depending on the reaction that you've gotten. Because I was always the share, share, share with everybody. Um, yeah, you got to remain open.
Yeah.
So let's get to the heart of this particular part of Whitney. Um, I recall connecting with you years and years ago um, by someone that we both knew because had become a widow
Mm-hmm.
and you had, I believe, already been a widow. I lost my husband in, look, I'm, what, 2013?
Mm-hmm.
How about you?
2012. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, wow. They were really close.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So tell us about your husband and what led to him passing away.
Sure. So I was married to Stephen Hogans, an amazing, amazing man of God. He was funny. He was brilliant. He was a full-time minister at, the church that we both grew up in, and just all around an amazing guy. I met him as a very young woman. I think I was 21, and I'd had my older son. Quincy was a year old when my husband and I met. And we fell in love, we got married, we had our second son a few years after that, and life just kind of, settled. He was working in full time ministry. Um, I was a hairstylist at first, licensed hairstylist, and then I started going back to school to pursue special education. And he had had a rare lung disease growing up,
Mm,
and well, he got sick in his early adulthood, and he got a double lung transplant.
wow.
And his father had the same rare lung disease and passed away when he was a kid. And when you get transplants, there's many milestones that you hope to accomplish. And one of them is the 5 year mark. If you can make it with the transplanted organs that you have for 5 years, there is a great chance that you can remain with those transplanted organs the rest of your life. So that's a really, really critical, important milestone.
Hmm.
Well, at 4.5 years after his surgery, he got sick. We thought he had the flu or, just some type of respiratory virus, and we went to the hospital and it was lung rejection.
Wow.
The lungs, just for whatever reason, he never smoked. He always kept up with his doctor's appointments. He did all the right things, but for whatever reason, his body started rejecting the lungs. And we went on a year-long journey of him being sick, waiting for a transplant. And and at the same time, I think it's important to note this, that I was 24 with a 4 year old and a 1 year old at the time that he was sick, that he got sick. I was working full time as a paraeducator, and I was a full time student. And our youngest son, Kevin, at that time was starting to, we were noticing he wasn't making his developmental milestones. And so we were also in the process, all at the same time, of having him evaluated to see kind of what supports he needed.
Hmm.
And if we suspected there was a disability or any of that. So that I just want to set the scene of all the things that were happening.
Yeah, a lot.
And then a year later, so we did all of that for a year. And then my son, soon after turning 2, was diagnosed with autism. And 2 months after that, 20 days before his 31st birthday, my husband Steve passed away.
Wow.
And I was 25 years old. I now have a 5-year old and a 2-year old. Um, and I lost my very best friend,
Mm.
my person, if you will,
Right.
someone that, I often grew up feeling misunderstood. And for that season of my life, I had never felt more seen and understood. And it was soul crushing. It was soul
Yeah.
crushing. I mean, for so many reasons. Obviously, this is a 30-year-old man,
So
a
young.
30-year-old great man.
Hmm.
Like, couldn't ask for a better person who deserved to live. This is a husband. This is a father to 2 small children, 2 small boys at that. He was a son, a brother, a minister,
Hmm.
a friend. There's so many roles. It was such an incredible loss to so many people. I always say that I am not the gatekeeper of grief as it relates to Steve. I
Hmm.
am one person that is grieving him amongst many. And I don't grieve him any more or any less than anybody else, right? My grief is just unique to him for our relationship. But it was devastating, just, I
Hmm.
mean, there's no other word to describe
Hmm.
it. Even all these years later, when the month of July rolls around, that
Yeah.
sting is
It's
still
a
very much
feeling.
present. Yeah, his
Hmm.
birthday's in that month. He died in that month. So it's still very much there because it's like, wow, um, not just grieving the loss of the love of my life, my husband, my best friend, my children's father, but then also grieving the loss of the life that we were living
Yeah. Yeah.
because now things have to change.
Right. I feel like that's one of the biggest hits because
Yes.
you get off balance and you're like, okay, my life as it was, up to now is not going to be the way it was. This influential person that was a part of our lives is
Yeah.
no longer here.
Of our
My
everyday life. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, a
And I think
huge
I remember
support. Hmm.
you both Steve and I have huge families, and then of
Hmm.
course ministry family, friends. So there were lots of people around when he passed. There were people everywhere. And
Wow.
honestly, I wanted them gone. I loved them, but it was just like I just didn't know what
Overwhelming.
to do with myself.
Hmm.
And I remember one of my cousins who I'm very close with, she's just kind of could peep that I was kind of like, I am overwhelmed, right?
Right.
I'm overwhelmed because so much, when someone dies, so much happens in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And when you are the person responsible for
Mm.
planning a funeral and like all the things,
Yeah.
making major life decisions at 25, to remove him off of life support, to do like these were all these things that I was carrying. And then you've got people just everywhere and
Hmm.
they mean well, right? They want to make sure you're good. I'm a black woman in a black family. They're going to make sure you eat. That is
That's
a
right.
huge thing for them. They've got to physically see you eat.
Right.
And I remember, I guess I just looked kind of over it. And one of my cousins came up and she said, I know you're going to be so glad when these people are gone and things get back to normal. And I
Normal.
remember, like,
Mm.
I know her, and I know exactly what she meant by that. But I remember thinking to myself, I will never know normal again.
Mm.
I
Mm-mm.
don't even know what's going to happen when all these people leave here.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I have no, there were so many emotional things, but then there's the literal and tangible things. Like, my husband was the breadwinner. How are
Right.
we going to sustain after this? That
Exactly.
there were so many things all hitting you at one time. And it's just like, wow, this is not where, if you would have sat me down when I was
Mm-mm.
graduating high school and saying, Whitney, where do you see yourself, the next few years? Certainly being a widow at 25
Wasn't it?
was not it at
Right.
all. So it just was a lot to take in for that time. A lot of multiple grieving points.
Understandably. Right.
Yeah.
Understandably. Um, so what I know, thank God for the support system,
Yes.
for support
Hmm.
systems and people who care. But like your cousin said, I know you were happy to not necessarily get back to normal, but get back to just time where you could um, just be freely be able to grieve.
Hmm.
Let me just say that freely be able to grieve. So, um, what was your grieving process like? Share the realness, of it all.
Yes. This is my favorite part to talk about, actually, because I feel like, um, not just as believers, but I think as Black women too, we just exude strength,
Yeah.
and we don't always exude vulnerability, right? We have
Hmm.
to be tough, we have to be strong for our family. We're carrying the weight
Guard
of the world on our
ourselves.
shoulders.
Hmm.
Um, and I am so thankful that God placed people in my life that taught me the beauty of grieving how I needed to. I
Yeah.
never had to, I didn't feel an external pressure to do this a certain way.
Hmm.
I also had a very unique situation in that my mother-in-law, um, again, I said my husband's father died in his 30s as well from this same rare lung disease. And so my mother-in-law became a widow at 33. So I call her to this day. You would think she was my biological mother. She is my mother. I mean, I love
Yes,
her
she
with my
is.
entire heart. My siblings they're my family. They're not my in-laws. I don't have
Hmm.
in-laws. I have family. And she is the Naomi to my Ruth. If you think about the word of
Mm.
the book of Ruth in
Yes.
the Bible, she is my Naomi. And she really taught me how to do this young widow walk. And what I mean by that is she just would care for me in ways. She knew when to check in. Of course,
Yeah.
the anniversary dates, people are going to check in, your wedding anniversary, until they forget, right? Because they're human
Hmm.
and this is not their
Yes.
life. They're not going to remember all the dates all the time. But, there's certain things people, oh, it's the holidays. Oh, it's Mother's Day. They'll chime in.
You'll
But
come
she
to
just had
mind.
a
Hmm.
way, and I know it's nothing but God. When I was in the lowest spaces, even to this day, 13 years later, I will be in a space that no one knows about because people see me as Tough Whitney. And it could be in the middle of the night, it could be early in the morning, it could be whenever. She will FaceTime me. She doesn't call, she doesn't text.
Wow.
She will
That's
FaceTime
smart.
me and she literally will say, I'll answer like, hey, Ma, I'll try to fake it every time.
Yeah.
And she'll say, Whitney Jane. She's the only person that calls me Whitney Jane. And she's like, tell me all about it. And I will unravel immediately. Immediate
I can't
tears or
imagine.
whatever. Like, Mom, this is what's happening. Like, she listened, but she also shared her wisdom and her experience, but she never took away from mine. And I want to say that because sometimes we do, and it's not intentional. Our hearts are most often in the right place,
Hmm.
but we will take on, like, let's say, like, you also are a widow
Hmm.
and you have a son just like I have sons, but our situations, while there are many similarities, there are many differences as well. And so
Absolutely.
there's space for us to share our wisdom with each other
Hmm.
without taking away from the other person's experience. And so my
Absolutely.
mother-in-law would share things like, this is how I experienced this, but she had experienced it 20 years prior to me.
Hmm.
Different time, right? She wasn't as young as I was. Her kids were older than my children were at that time. Like, her youngest was the same age as my oldest when their dad died. And, she didn't have a child with a disability, which is an
Hmm.
extra, layer. And so we just had these conversations, and she would pour into me and she would listen to me, and she prepped me for things that I didn't understand at the time, but I understood later. She would just randomly say things like, I remember once she said to me, you know, your friend group is going to shift.
Yeah.
Don't take it personal.
Yeah.
And there's just a little tidbit of information. Like she never elaborated on it, or, you know, she just said things are going to shift. Don't take it personal. And so
Hmm.
when things happen, it was like, okay, I got it.
The
So
aha.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, it's like just put that in the back of your head until you'll pull
Hmm.
it out when you need it. And so she's just one person. I have my own family, of course, my aunts and my family that have always been there for me. But just that family piece, I have a family that if one of us has a problem, all of us has a problem. That's how we operate as a family. So
Hmm.
you're never by yourself. You know, I remember when Steve was sick and my aunt came over one Sunday and she was like, so this is what we're going to do. And she had a
Wow.
whole, I mean, every Sunday she would come to my house. She cooked food for us for the entire week. I mean, for a year. She would come over every Sunday. I knew I didn't have to worry about food. Other people would come over, like, hey, you know, I paid for somebody to clean your house, or I'm gonna come hang with the kids so you can take a nap, or so you can go to the hospital. Like, we all just kind of everybody stepped in and played a part, and that didn't change when Steve passed. It was like, okay, Whitney's by herself, and we're gonna help her. Now we're also gonna give her room to figure things out, right?
Right. Right.
Because that's the
Balance.
only way you grow.
Hmm.
But also, we're going to be here. You know, we're going to be here. And so it wasn't that people were next to me 24/7. They weren't. But it was just that layer of support was there. If I
Hmm.
needed help with something, I knew that I had people that I could call for the big things and for the small things. You know, I didn't know nothing about home maintenance. Right? You know, I'm 25 and I bought my first home after Steve died. And so you know, I had a cousin, or I have rather, a cousin that's a plumber. I have cousins that are contractors in HVAC. So I call them my personal BGE home. Like I don't call BGE, I call them first, and
I
they'll
know
guide
that's
me
right.
on what to do. So like just God sent that community of people
Yeah.
um, to really help me. But he also gave me those steal away moments with him. And those were even more important than the people
And the people.
because when the people couldn't be there,
Hmm.
God is always
Yeah.
there.
And lean on him.
Right. And so I
Hmm.
learned to lean on him first. You know,
Right.
he's the tree, right?
Hmm.
And my family and my friends and my community are the branches. And so I think that's how it gave me the space to grieve. So I did whatever I wanted. If I needed to cry, I cried. If I was in a good mood, I allowed myself to be in a good mood. You know, I didn't
Right.
have to, you know, sometimes you feel like you have to, I don't know,
Put on a
like
face, a look. Grief is a
always look
look.
sad and like, no, I'm
Yeah.
having a good day today. We're
Yeah.
going to take it. We're going to take the win. Or, you know, maybe I'm thinking about Steve and I'm laughing at something, you know, a
Mm,
funny memory.
yes.
Maybe I might 5 minutes later think about that same memory and start crying, but it's just whatever I needed in the moment. God gave me a space and an environment where that was okay. I never felt a pressure to pretend.
Hmm.
I could
That's
say I
good.
was sad. And even on the other side, you know, I have a family that culturally, traditionally, maybe, you know, they're heavy on the cemetery.
Hmm.
Every Mother's Day, every Father's Day, Memorial
Oh.
Day, they're going to the cemetery. They're cleaning up the, you know, grave sites of our family
Hmm.
members. They're putting fresh flowers on the grave. That's a thing for them. That is not a thing for me.
Me either.
I have been to that graveyard 3 times in 13 years. And it's only because somebody asked me to go.
Right.
Like
I understand
I
that
never
fully.
have a desire to be there. And
Yeah,
probably
me
couldn't
either.
even find his grave if I could be super honest. Like
Hmm.
to me, that is not comforting.
Right.
It just doesn't. For some people it is, and that's fine.
Hmm.
But for me, it's not. I don't have to ever go there another day in my life. And it will make me feel no different.
I think that just like with anything else, it's very important to know yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, to
And
know
what works for
yourself.
you.
Work,
Yeah.
work. Absolutely.
Now, if you want to go and you
Absolutely.
want me to come support, that's cool. Like, I think it was it last year? I think it was last year. My brother in law was like, we should all go to the cemetery and we should go out to lunch after on the anniversary of his passing. That was the first
Hmm.
time we've all went to the cemetery since we
Oh,
buried him, like all together. And it was beautiful.
right.
It was great, but it's and for me, it was great because my family was there. It wasn't great because I was
Yes.
at the cemetery, right? But I just know for me personally, when I need something, that's just not what I need.
Mhm.
And so I have really learned through the years, through all of these years, how to really be in tune with myself. What do I need in the big moments and in the random moments of,
So important.
yeah. So just
Yeah.
really learning yourself, but also knowing how to ask for what you need.
Mhm. But you also say that knowing the right people to ask,
Hmm.
or just in general, you just ask.
No, all help is not good help. That is my mantra. And I learned that the hard way when
Right.
Steve was sick. And, people come and they offer help, and then you find that most are coming with the pure intention,
Yes,
right?
for
And
sure.
then you have some that are coming to observe
Mhm.
or to see something or whatever their motive is. But I definitely
Mhm.
think praying, like really talking to God, and you don't have to
Yes.
overcomplicate it. To me, prayer, just like I'm talking to you, this is how I talk to
Mhm.
God in
Yeah.
prayer. It is
Mhm.
very me. It's not, I don't come in and I'm, using my $10 vocabulary words and I'm, speaking in a certain accent. No, I'm just talking to him. God, I thank you
Mhm.
for this day.
Mhm.
But what happened? I'm thankful for the day, but what is this? or, God, for I can even just be super vulnerable and share some thoughts that I've had over the past few days. It's the holidays, which they sting, they do.
Mhm.
But my sons are now 19 and 15.
Oh my God, I cannot
They are
believe how.
young men.
Yes.
And, my oldest is in college, my youngest is in high school. And um, next year, September of next year, I'll be turning 40.
Wow.
And so it's a
Milestone.
milestone. It's just I'm in a very reflective
Mhm.
space. And one of the things that I said to God is two things. I said, one, I am, I strive every day to be the best mother that I can be, but I am not a father. That's my
That's
personal
true.
belief. I don't do both roles. I don't, I
Mm-mm.
think the role of a father is too big and important to think that we can just recreate
Take
it or
it all at
repurpose
all.
it.
I'm
Yeah,
the
no,
mom and the
I'm a
dad.
mom.
No.
And I say, like, I'm too cute to be a dad. I'm a mom. I'm a mom. And my boys, my young men, they need that guidance.
Mhm.
And I know I have my brothers and my dad. They have plenty of male influence, positive male influences. But man, I look sometimes and I'm like, God, I did the best that I could, but what would they have been
Yeah.
if Steve was still here? How would they be the same? How would they be different? And right now, they need him. Not that they
Yeah.
don't need me, but they also need him even more now as
Coming
they are
into
young men.
manhood. Yeah.
And so I just had that moment when I look at them, and especially like, Christmas morning, it's different when they're older. There's no 8 a.m. people downstairs,
Thank God.
Yes, I love this season. I had a cup of tea. I watched a movie before anybody woke up. It was great. But
Exactly.
it just reminds me of like, man, he's missed so much. But then also like they need him. And then for me, now because my sons are young men, there is actually a space for Whitney the woman now. And I don't even know what to do there.
You're not by yourself. I'm like,
I
okay,
don't
you
even
need
know
to
what
go
to do. I'm
here and
like,
do
wait,
something.
like I'm a human outside of being a mom and like, oh, like my therapist is like, yeah, what do you like to do? And I was like, I don't
You
know.
have to think real hard, right?
Yeah, because I've always thought about what do I need to do,
Yeah.
right? Because that's just the reality
Survival.
when you are a single
Hmm.
parent. Like
Yeah.
stuff has to get done, and
Yeah.
so it's just this space. And I'm like, God, I don't know. Who is Whitney at 39? And what do I dream for and long for outside of my role in
As a
somebody
mom.
else's life?
Yeah.
So it just was, I was having these emotional, moments with God of like, man, if you would have told me what I thought turning 40 would have looked like, it wouldn't, there's some parts of it that would look like what I thought, like still being
Hmm.
close with my family and my boys doing well and, having a career and passions and things. Yeah, but that being by myself at 40, no, I wouldn't have
Hmm.
thought that. I would have thought me and Steve would have had another baby. We would have had a daughter. We would have. who knows what we would be doing, you know?
Right.
So it's just been an interesting time. So I think it's just having those moments with God first. Like God has to be
Absolutely.
your
It's the
best friend
foundation.
first.
Yeah,
Because then he'll give you discernment of who you can talk to and who you can share those
absolutely.
intimate parts of yourself with. But they got to go to him first because he's the safest space.
Yeah, because who we think we can share those moments or thoughts or feelings with is not always
Yeah,
the safest place or the place where it's better,
right.
where we're called to lay down part of the, like you said, first of all, our first priority is at the feet of Jesus, laying down those
Yes.
burdens and concerns, thoughts, feelings. And that time of, and this time, I'll say this time because I'm there also, this time of rediscovery, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, being so, not that we're old, we're still at a good age, but
Yeah,
being so far along in our life and having to rediscover yourself is something else.
it really is. It's so
It
much work.
is.
And
It
it is
is.
work that I really am too tired to do sometimes, but I'm trying. like Lord, this is a lot. This is a whole lot. But
Right.
then on the other side of it, it can be exciting
It can,
to see
very
what's
much
been
so.
down in here that I didn't know or that I forgot about, you know, or
That
like
you
what
pressed and suppressed.
exactly, just because there
Hmm.
wasn't space for it, but now that there is space for it. So that part is cool, but it is a lot.
It is.
It is a
It's
lot.
so much intentionality that has to be
Yes.
given to it. Like, okay, like you said, we both have 19-year-olds. I know, I'm not sure if your son is working and going to school too, but
Both,
my,
yes.
so they're always out, and you're like, okay, I'm the one just at home. Like, why am I at home? I need to figure out something to do with
Right. There are
myself.
things you can do. And, you know,
Hmm.
my mother-in-law teases me a lot in that area because she's like, do you think like the man of your dreams is gonna knock on your door? Like, what is the plan here? Why are you not outside? Like, go do something. Go, you love
Right.
music. Go to a concert. Go listen to some music somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, she just is always teasing me,
Trying to
like,
push you.
yeah, like
Hmm.
the world is gonna pass you by. Like, you've got to do some work too. Like, there's things you
Yeah.
want. You say you want to have more fun. You don't want to just be working all the time, but then you're working all the time.
Hmm.
And when you're not working, you're at home. So, like, what are you going to do
Yes.
different?
So it's like forcing yourself to, because I know me personally, like you said, if you're working all the time, then you have your passions that you're doing or, seeking to do. And so then outside of that, it's like, okay, I need to rest. But
Mhm.
like your mom-in-law said, you need to get out the house. So I think,
Yeah.
but it's a balance. It's
And it's
still a
also a
balancing act.
cycle because I think the other part too, and I wonder if you feel the same.
Hmm.
Um, I was talking to someone earlier today and I forgot what we were talking about, but they said the term um, decision making fatigue. And I was like, oh, yeah, let's talk
Ouch.
about that. Because I make 1 million decisions a day.
Uh-huh.
Correct. As
Yep.
a mother, as just a person. My father recently moved in with me. I'm his only
Oh,
child. So there's another layer of
yeah.
me pouring into other people. And then I'm a leader,
Right.
a school based leader. So there are just decisions all the time. And so then when it is time for me time, I don't want to make a decision because
Look,
I
I thought I
am
was by
burnt out.
myself. I just want to sit here and stare at the TV
So it's easier
or,
to kind of go to my old faithfuls, right? I'm going to
yeah,
put on a series that I've already watched a million times or a movie. Like it's easier to do that because I don't have to think about it.
right.
And it's like that's where it's tough and that sometimes can be a trigger for grief for me as well.
Yeah.
It's like there's nobody here. I have to do it. Like, okay, well, Whitney, what do you want to eat? Well, where do you want to go? What do you want to like? Sometimes it would be nice
If
to just
someone
have
else
a be
made that
ready at
decision,
7.
it, listen,
And I don't have to like I don't want to think about anything else. And like so that part gets hard of like finding
yeah,
that balance. And then in my line of work as an educator, in our current public schools where our students and our staff and our families, the level of trauma and the level of
mm,
just needs that they have is unlike anything I've ever seen. And I've been in this industry now almost 15 years. So there is a mental and
yeah,
emotional drain
toll. Yes,
And it's a
having a
toll that
total.
takes on you. So then it's like when you do finally get that time, it's hard for me to then say, all right, I'm going to get showered. I'm going to get dressed. I'm going to go do this. It's like, no, I want to lay down. I am mentally spent. Like I don't have it. Even today, I'm off. And I was like, you know what? I could like the Ravens play tonight. I'm a huge football fan. Maybe I should just go somewhere and watch the
And
game.
watch the game.
And the
Hmm.
thought of like being out of the house,
It's
it's like
traumatizing in itself,
it's
right?
cold outside. I have a million reasons why I don't want to do this, right? But just like it's just because I'm also tired. I'm trying to get my energy back up. So it's like we have to find that balance. It's no easy
Balance,
answer,
that's
but
the
we got to
key.
find it.
Yeah, it's the key. And I feel like that's why God led me to start the community that I have where we do something once a month.
That is amazing.
It has helped me so much because I had literally, I mean, between COVID and working at home, I had, I don't want to use the word recluse. There's a term for it that I heard recently, but I didn't make it a note in my mind. But basically, you get so used to being home, it just envelops you. It becomes a part of you.
It does. It
Yeah,
does. And
and I'm
especially
trying
if
to
home is a
break
peaceful
free
place.
that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's peaceful here. Like,
right.
so it makes it easier to want to stay in. So I get that.
Absolutely. But like you said, we have to have that balance.
Yeah.
So it's one, look, reluctantly, it's one decision at a time we have to make to do
Hmm.
something for ourselves, to do something outside. Not that we're trying to get outside to be found. We're
Right.
getting outside for our own self-care
Yeah.
and our own mental and our own strengthening because everything else, it's not a burden, but it's a load that
Yeah.
we've carried so long.
Absolutely.
Hmm. So you described your what happened with your husband. You talked about the grieving process. How has life changed for you and I know we've talked about it a little bit, but when you compare the then and the now, you know, share some of the blessings of, what has changed.
Absolutely. When I look back then and I look now, I can only thank God. It is nothing but God. And He has been more than good to me.
Yeah.
Not just barely making it, and scraping by. He's been more than good to me. One of the best things that He blessed me with back then that I still continue now is therapy. I think it's
Yes.
important to have that safe space, having the right person to be able to work through things, process things, because Steve dying wasn't the first time I had experienced anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just,
Mm-hmm.
there was a lifelong of things that happened up until that point as well. And even after. So just definitely therapy, but some of the things that God has done um, is I prayed a prayer that said, God, use me. And we pray that as believers, and it sounds kind of cliche, sounds good, until you really understand that He will
The
use you
call.
however, right?
That's right.
And it's not as always pretty. Like I feel like we envision whatever use me looks like. You know what I mean? If we're gifted to speak, we envision speaking in front of thousands or whatever.
Right.
We
Right.
don't envision speaking from a broken heart. We
Ooh.
don't envision pouring into somebody else when you don't have nothing left for yourself. We don't envision giving and you're lacking. We don't envision, what that use really looks like. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember a specific night, February 13th of 2013, very specific. I'll never forget the
Wow.
date. I was about 6 months out of loss, at Steve passing. And I think I moved into my house 3 months after Steve died. I moved there, I rented it for a little bit, and then I bought it. And so I did a lot of moving quickly, like a lot of big major life things kind of all happened at the same time. Getting Kevin in therapy, Quincy in a new school. I'm working. I am taking, I'm in school taking 5 classes a semester online.
Ooh.
It was nuts.
Wow.
Nothing but the grace of God. So I was doing a whole lot at once. And I think it caught up with me. And that night, I just was up, excuse me, and I was laying on my floor in my bedroom and I was cussing God out.
Uh-oh.
I'm not even someone that cusses, but I mean,
He was making up words.
I was in there. Okay. I was in there. I just was, it's almost like the lava gets to the top of the volcano and you
Yeah,
can't
it
push
has
it back
enough.
down. It's
Mm-mm.
gonna, it has to erupt. And that's where I was. And I just was poor. I mean, just literally unraveling. Like, this is so much. All I ever wanted as a child was my own family, and you gave it to me and then you took it from me. Like, how cruel of you. I mean,
Wow.
like, very, very, honest.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have a son with a disability. You called me to work in special education, serving kids with disabilities, and then you have my son to have a disability. And
Mm.
now I have to be at this high level of competence all the time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And where do I land in all of this?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just screaming out to him. And I opened my Bible and I said, if I have to sit here all night, like, I am not leaving this floor until you say something to me. You're gonna have to tell me something. And what he said, I know, very ballsy of me, but that's how I felt, right?
And
And
that's who you are. That's who God knows you as,
yeah,
to
right.
be articulate.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, God, because we gonna have to have a conversation. Because what I don't know. And I was so low of like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I'm expected to do this forever,
Oof.
right? It's one thing to have a rough season, but death on this side of heaven is final. So like, he's
Yeah.
never coming back here. So the reality of all of it is like, okay, but what about this? And what about that? And what if something happens to me? And what if, like, there was just so much.
Yeah. It can get
And
overwhelming.
so I said to God, you got to give me something. And what he gave me, he literally said to me, is the pain is real, but the promise is eternal.
Wow.
And that became the title of my book. Now, granted, I
Wow.
didn't write that book until 3.5 years after that night, but he gave me, you said, use me. I'm going to use you. I'm going to take
Wow.
the very thing I gave you, the gift of writing. I've been writing since I was a kid. And I'm going to give you something to say. And I want you to say it just like that. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want you to sugarcoat it. I don't want you to come in with this poised, something that takes away the feeling. Because the people I'm calling to this book and the people that I'm calling to you, they need your delivery.
Raw. They
They
need it
need
raw.
that raw and honest.
Mm-hmm.
This
Yes.
is it. Like, yes, I would love to say that I just trusted God and I never worried and I never doubted. I would love to say that, but that is 1000% not true.
Not true.
And so, you know, he gave me that. From there, he gave me a radio show that I was blessed to do for many years and to be able to share spaces with many people sharing their stories
Mm-hmm.
about what God has done for them, and to hear people and to see people just get inspired that,
Yeah.
oh, wait, you really can overcome these things.
Absolutely.
And the residue is still there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm never going to live a life that pretends that everything is okay. And I'm never going to live a life that pretends that everything is not okay. Like, the
Mm-hmm.
glass isn't half empty or half full, it is a glass,
Yeah.
right? And it's beautiful however it is.
And you haven't given up and you're still going on with the
No,
life, and
one day at a time. Some days
that's
it's one
right.
moment at a time, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so he gave me all of these great things, these great ways to share the message he's given me, creatively.
Mm-hmm.
But he's given me friendship. He's given me, the love of my family. He's allowed me
Mm-hmm.
to be able to excel and advance in my career. He's covered my children.
Absolutely.
He has
Yes.
covered my
Thank you,
sons,
Lord.
my oldest, being able to graduate high school and to go to school and all the things he's doing. And my youngest being from completely nonverbal, we were being told he would not speak, to, I'm sorry, my thing just, there we go. Um, so then he is reading and acting in plays and doing all kinds of things. And so God has been more than favorable
Yes.
to me. He's
Yeah.
been so good to me. Um, and it didn't come free.
Wasn't easy.
It didn't come free, but also he didn't give me what I deserved,
Uh,
right?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm blessed. in spite of all those things. And so,
Hmm.
even though, yes, there's been a lot of heartache here, a lot of loss, a lot of pain, there's been a lot of love, a lot of
Hmm.
blessings. And I just look at my life as this beautiful, complicated being.
And I feel like based on what we had, what's in the word itself, he didn't promise us sunshine and rainbows always.
He sure didn't.
And he always promised that he would be there. He would never leave. And just knowing that constant, the one who knows us so intimately beyond anybody else, is always there. I know I have to remind myself frequently,
Hmm.
you're not by yourself.
He's
He's
there.
there. He's there.
And he's not making it up as he goes along. I have
Yeah,
to
he
remind
knew.
myself that
Hmm.
he gave me an analogy a couple years ago. I forgot what I was working on, but I was struggling with it. And I was struggling with it because I couldn't figure it out. I like to figure things out.
Hmm.
And he said to me, you're trying, if you think about as kids, we had those connect the dot pictures.
Hmm.
You get the picture, it's a whole bunch of random dots, you connect them,
It's
and
just.
then the
Hmm.
picture becomes whatever. And he said to me, you're trying to color the picture without connecting the dots.
Ooh.
And it's because you don't believe that I actually have a picture there. So if you connect the dots on the paper and a kangaroo appears, it was a kangaroo when the dots weren't connected. You just didn't know it, right? It was
Mm-hmm.
already a full image. And what God explained to me about our lives is it's already a full picture. He's not, making this up as he's going
Before
along.
the
He's not in the
foundation of the
writer's
earth.
room,
Hmm.
making edits and he already knows. He's omnipotent, he's all powerful, but
Yes.
he's omnipresent.
Yes.
He's omniscient, he's all knowing. So he's not making it up as he goes along. It's just our job to connect the next stop. We don't have to get the whole picture. We're never going to get the whole picture.
We'll try to make it ourselves. That's a
Right, because
bigger
maybe I
one.
don't like kangaroos. Maybe I want a different animal, right? But this is why he knows why it needs to be a kangaroo or why it
Absolutely.
needs to be whatever. So I have to constantly say, like, okay, God, I know that you are here. I know you see this, the good, the bad. You see what I don't see. I'm
Hmm.
focused on the problems I do have. I don't even know the things that you protected me from, that I didn't even
Listen.
know I was in danger.
Yeah.
And you just came on in and just moved me on out the way. Like I don't even
Without us having
know.
a clue.
Right. And
Mm,
so
mm-mm.
it's keeping that perspective, but I think that
Yeah.
comes with being in constant communication with him, making the
Absolutely.
time to talk to him. I think, you know, if we gave him more of that, of just spending time in our word, but really just spending that time with him,
In the quiet.
the
As we were talking
quiet.
about that one of the other episodes, one of the things I got years ago, because I'm Sister Martha. Is it Martha? Martha always want to be doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And it was God gave me like sit down,
Mm-hmm.
like stop being afraid of the quiet.
The quiet. That's been this whole year for me because I
Yeah.
am someone that does a lot. I've got a book, I
Right.
got this, I got that. And this year was none of those things. And it
Yeah.
was like, I'm just going to sit with you.
And receive.
Yeah. And receive, but also like those other things that you have just been too busy to address.
Mm-hmm.
Let's circle back to those.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's come
It's
back
been
to
that
some
for
of
me
those
too.
childhood things. Let's come
Mm-hmm.
back to a few things of how you're still frustrated with some things. Like, I had to finally admit to God, I said, God, I struggle with trusting you fully because I trusted you with my husband's life and you took it.
Wow.
Am
That's
I at
real.
peace with Steve being gone? Yes. I'm at peace with the fact that I don't need to understand it. I don't
Mm-hmm.
need to like it. It just is what it is. I'm at peace there. But my faith was so young at that time, and I just didn't believe for a second
It would be any other way.
that it would be any other way. So
Yeah.
that crush of like,
Mm-hmm.
you really let that happen. Like you've all power and authority in the world. So it's
Right.
not an issue of could you have let that happen a different way. He could have never gotten sick in the first place, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And um there is still residue of that. So when it comes down to a situation, I'm praying all the time, but I'm also checking in on my own resources and my own intellect and how can I
Hmm.
solve whatever the thing
You
is.
sound like me.
So like I've prayed and I've asked you, but just in case,
Let me have my
I
ducks in a
also
row.
right, I've also stayed up all night researching this thing or whatever the need is. And
Yeah,
so I just had to give that to him. Like, God, I really do want to trust you totally. I
yeah,
really do. And this is in the way. There's still some residue of that. If I really trusted you in the most pure and authentic way. I remember being in the hospital. He was on life support. And I was like, all we need is one yes from God. I was still
hmm,
there.
right, right.
Everybody else in the room was kind of at peace about what was they knew. They
Yeah,
knew what was going on, but I was, you talking faith the size of a mustard seed, I was holding.
till the end.
I was
Hmm.
holding. And you know, to do that and it's like, God, what was that? Why him?
Yeah,
Why me? Why my kids? Why my mother-in-law? Like why just the all the whys. And so when you
hmm.
can get honest of like, God, every time I really want to lay it all at your feet and not pick it up at all and really
Ugh.
lay it there, God, there's just that little piece of me takes me back to 2012. It does. It takes
Hmm.
me back
Hmm.
there and it's hard to shake it.
Yeah.
So help me to shake it.
You know what the blessing is, though? Um, and I always say this, I had to learn this, the acknowledgement part of it. You know what I mean? Because we could have some ways of doing things and mindsets around things and not have a clue how we're operating.
True.
So I feel like it's a blessing to get God when God gets us to that point of acknowledgement.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest is just the process of Him working with us through it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, and that's another part of being authentic and being able to acknowledge, yeah, I'm a mess.
Yeah, it's me. If it's good, it's God. If it's a mess, it is me. And he loves me.
Yeah.
Jonathan McReynolds has a new song out. It came out at
Hmm.
some point this year. And I think it's called Still, or He Still Loves Me. But anyway, the song is
Yeah.
very simplistic in its lyrics,
Hmm.
but so heavy, impactful in its power of
Yeah.
just like through, it doesn't matter what it is, he still loves me. My best day, my worst day. Anything that I have done, like it does not matter. He still loves me. And that is such a, I think it's something that sometimes as believers, we hear it, we read it, we know what the word says, but we forget.
You need to internalize it.
Yeah. And we
Yeah.
forget just, we make it small when really that's such a big thing,
Huge.
right? Um, and I just think that I try to stay in that space of like,
Hmm.
God, I know it's tough right now. I know there's so much. I mean, even right now, my current life, like I just am feeling the weight.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for a long time. I've been in this season for a very long time. And,
Yeah.
I was saying and just in my prayers, like, God, I don't need rest. I need relief.
Ooh.
And they are not the same, right?
Yeah.
I don't need rest. I sleep all the time. Like, I'm not someone that, stays up all night. Like, I sleep. I need relief.
You know, that makes me think, and I don't know, I don't want to necessarily share this only because I don't know the different forms, but rest comes in different forms. It's not just sleep, right?
Right.
It talks about it. I can't remember any of them right now, of course, but it's a lady who wrote a book, Sandra Dalton. Is it Sandra Dalton? She wrote a book about rest,
Mm.
and she's a
I have to check that
doctor.
out.
Yeah, she's a doctor, and she Sacred Rest. That's the name of it. And she basically, as a doctor, she was seeing women coming into the office, and they were just, I'm so tired.
Hmm.
And after working with them, she found out that there are various phases of rest. We need rest from being on the computer and being connected,
Hmm.
technically. We need rest from always trying to make things happen. So she gave, I think it's 5 different definitions of rest
I'm gonna have
or
to look.
types of rest. So, yeah, so sometimes it is rest. It's just understanding which form of rest because we can
Hmm.
sleep all day and never get rest, like you said.
Right.
And relief. I like that, what you said about relief, because we need relief for some things that are weighing us down,
Exactly.
whether we acknowledge it or not, it's weighing us down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that word relief. I think you never heard that saying relax, relate, release.
Yes, Whitley. Whitley Gilbert. Yes,
Yes,
but like
that's so
relief.
real. Yeah.
That's what my prayer is in this season.
Hmm.
Lord, I need relief.
Yeah. I feel you on that. I feel the same way. Like you said, there's some cycles that have been present that it's like your time is over. Enough is enough. You
Right.
need to
We've been
go.
here. We're good. Let's do something else. Let's see this, who I am in
Turn
this
around.
space, under
Yeah,
these
yeah,
circumstances. It is a lot, but I just love the fact that God gives me the space to be myself.
yeah.
He doesn't, judge me for how I show up sometimes. He doesn't, like even in my prayers earlier this week, I was repenting. I'm like, God, you have never failed me.
Hmm.
Every need has always been met.
Yes.
Maybe not in the way I wanted, the
Right.
timeline, whatever. Every need has always been met. We've never been hungry. We've never been home. Like I had to really pour out, and it's like, and here I am up, stressed about this
Hmm. Hmm.
when you've done all these other things,
Yeah,
and you're the
he's well
same God.
able. Hmm.
But, at the same time, I'm also human, right?
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
you need to sometimes have those moments where you remember and God will remind you, like, hey, yeah, this is a tough season, but let me just remind you
Hmm.
of what I've
Been
done
there
before.
before. Remember that? Remember this?
Yeah. Like, remember, you've been through worse and I was
Yeah.
there. And it's okay also that you feel that way. Like, that's what I
Hmm.
love about God. He doesn't, like, humans would be, if we were,
Oh
the
my
ones doing
goodness.
that.
And we do.
And we
We
do.
do
We
beat
would beat
people
up on
up.
each other and why already told you
Hmm.
that and why didn't you get it the first time? And like God, he will still give us that space to have those feelings and
Thank
love us enough
God.
not to keep us there.
Yeah, that's good. And I love that about him.
Yes. Please help me out sometimes when I am,
Yeah,
or even sometimes he'll just stop it. you know,
yeah.
I, like I said, the holidays are just a tough time. And, I was thinking about things and I was kind of getting my feels. And literally, he just like something popped up on the TV and made me laugh. It snapped
And it
that
was
moment.
gone. Mm,
It was like,
okay.
okay, cool. That moment was, we don't have to go down that road today, right?
Right,
We know it's
right.
Christmas Day. We know you miss this person and that person and all those things. Cool. But we don't have to spend the whole day there.
Yeah,
We can have a moment and we can enjoy this actual day and be present in the moment with the people that are here. Like we can, so it's nice when he will kind of pull you out.
absolutely. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Whitney. Um, Before we close out, again, the purpose of this particular series was to encourage and empower somebody that is currently in those places where we were at
Mm-hmm.
one point or another. So,
Mm-hmm.
will you please give a few last words to encourage that person who's
Sure.
right smack in the middle of that?
So, for those that are in the thick of it, take a deep breath.
Mm.
This is a journey, it is not a race, and there are ebbs and flows. There are days that I feel like, I love the Rocky movies. There are days that I feel like I can run up those steps in Philly and I am on top of the world. And then there are days when I feel like Rocky, where my whole face is swollen from all the hits and the bruises. And it's a journey. Be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with yourself and take it one moment at a time. But also know that you have some choice in here. You can choose to say, not today. You can choose to say, God, give me peace for this moment. I want to enjoy today. I used to literally pray that.
Hmm.
God, it's a sunny day outside. I just want to enjoy the day. Can you help me? That's it. I'm not asking you for nothing else. I just want to be able to enjoy this particular day. Just really talking to God and allowing Him to show you who your community is, allowing Him to show you what your healing journey is going to look like, because it's going to look different for
Yeah.
everybody. And that's okay too. But take it one moment. Something else I want to share, this is probably not a typical thing, but it helped me, is when somebody dies, especially if it's the love of your life, we tend to have a image of them. And however they showed up for us the most is how we see them in the end. So, for instance, if your loved one was loving towards you, you see just that, right? And you almost make them like this angelic like person, right? They're perfect, right? Or if it's the opposite, maybe they didn't show up for you in their best way, you might see them as not angelic. Ask God to remind you of who they were at their truest state. And this is why it's important. I remember talking to my mother-in-law one day, and this was shortly after Steve died, and she said to me, I'm going to tell you something. She said, one day, Whitney, right now it seems impossible, but one day you're going to start finding yourself attracted to men again. You're going to start desiring to love again. You may even date. You may want to marry, and those things are okay. And at that time, I was like, absolutely not. And I said to her, nope, Steve was the love of my life. That's it. That's all. And I said, if I ever met somebody else, they would have some huge shoes to fill.
Mhm.
And my mother in law looked at me and she said, Whitney Jane, when we buried Steve, we buried him with his shoes on. Do not make him more than God. Do not make him your standard. Always allow God to be your standard. And I say that specifically to people that have lost the love of their lives, because this is where we can get stuck. And she started to remind me, Whitney, Steve used to get on your nerves too, right? Y'all were married. You got on his nerves too. Like, y'all, she would just jokingly say that. Like, remember he was stubborn and you're stubborn, and how that would sometimes clash. And like, she had to remind me that he was human.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good.
Because especially when you lose the love of your life, if you make them superhuman,
Mm.
right? If you only remember the good, or you only remember the bad, and you don't remember them at their true selves, it's going to be harder to heal and move on, because you are healing and moving on from an image that wasn't real. So,
Wow.
because she helped me have a healthy sense of grief, he was an incredible man. That's not an exaggeration.
Hmm.
But you'll never hear me say he was a perfect man, or that I'm a perfect woman, or that we had a perfect marriage, because that's not true. So, just
Hmm.
having that realistic view of them, asking God to help me to remember it accurately. Because then,
That's,
if you do so desire, and some people don't desire to marry or love again, and that is okay as well. But if you do, imagine if your standard is a perfect person.
oh, wow. Be in
No one's
trouble.
gonna compare, right? And you're not even the same person. So me, I'm 39. 25-year-old Whitney and 39-year-old Whitney are so different. There
Yeah,
are some things that are still very similar. My core values and morals, yes, those are the same. But the things that I like and I need and I want are different, because I'm different.
we're always evolving.
Right. So I'm
Yeah.
not looking for another Steve, because
Hmm.
I'm not even that same Whitney anymore. So I think it's just not being afraid to evolve,
Yeah.
not being afraid to evolve, and not being defined by their loss. We, to me, reduce the lives of our spouses if we only talk about their death. Steve had 30 years of a wonderful life.
Hmm.
He's not defined just by his illness. That's not the only thing,
Absolutely. Yeah.
that we should look to him for. He did amazing things. This man had 3 degrees in religion. He did so many great things. That's one part of his story.
Hmm.
And like, just like it's one part of ours. So me being a widow is not my entire identity,
That's true.
right? It's one part of my story. So just
Hmm.
keeping things in its proper place and really asking God to show you your truth, how whatever it is in your unique life, it'll help you with the healing. It'll help you with those late nights, those early
Not getting
mornings
stuck.
when I feel like
Yeah.
when the world is quiet and the grief is wreaking havoc, having that perspective helps.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I feel like that was really meaty and someone really needed to hear it. And it'll make all the difference in the world as they go through their grieving
Yeah,
process.
praise God.
Amen. Lord, we thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
And
for having
oh, sure, sure, sure. So I pray that those who have tuned into the Graceful Transitions broadcast, specifically the Life After Loss series, that you were some way impacted and blessed and encouraged to keep on moving through your process, not to look for a framework, so to speak,
me.
but your process may be individual to you, to
Yes,
who you are, to your personality, to your experiences. So just remain open, continue to allow God to walk you through it all. Like we're talking about grief, but whether it's grief or whether it's lifing, we all need to be encouraged to just not give up and to keep on moving
absolutely.
through it because ultimately, like you said mentioned earlier, God is going to lift. He's going to lift the load. May not be in our timing, but He will lift the load, and
Amen.
He's grooming something in us as we go through each and every one of these processes. So, thank you for tuning in to the Graceful Transitions broadcast. My name is Debreda Denise. You can watch the broadcast on YouTube. We also have a private Facebook group where you can feel free to come in and join us so that we can continue these transition conversations. And thank you for tuning in. Feel free to share the broadcast with someone else. Don't forget to subscribe. We really need you to subscribe. And we thank you for listening. And thank you, Whitney, for joining me for this empowering conversation. And get on out there, girl. Look, I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to me.
Yes,
We're gonna be outside in 2026.
yes, we will be.
Yes, we will. So there is life after loss. Be encouraged, be empowered. Take care and God bless.